Welcome to the F1Stop show. I'm your host, Sam Only, and this is episode 30, I think. It is. It is. Don't worry, I didn't forget. With me this evening is Wes Spinman. Wes, how are you?
Yeah, pretty good. It feels like an age since we've had F1. I wasn't used to like the week off, but yeah, I'm pretty good. F1's back this weekend. How are you?
I'm good, I'm all right. Just very excited for F1, like you said. Um, US Grand Prix, if I was to describe it in three words, Americans, food, well, racing. That's it. What would your three words be
um,
to describe the US Grand Prix?
Probably enthusiastic. There's a lot of support there. Extravagant, I guess. Thinking back to last year and the Longhorn and Shaquille O'Neal. Um,
Yeah, I can see
and
that. Yeah.
how else would I describe it? In with one word. Um, Quality, I guess. Racing seems to be decent.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about that third one, but yeah, I don't know. Let's carry on.
Okay. So round 19 takes us what? If my geography is right, we're going across the specific, if I'm right.
Where are we? I don't know. I don't know which way they would go. Whether they fly east from Japan over the Pacific, or yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
either way, we're in Texas. Whichever way they got there, whether they flew across the ocean or flew across Africa, they're in Texas.
Yeah, like you said, however they got there, whether you swam, whether you went on the plane, you got from Suzuka to Texas, however you got to Texas, we're there. Anyway, US Grand Prix. Um, let's take it back to last year because the 2021 Grand Prix in Austin was uh was a great battle. Setting the scene, we had Red Bull's Max Verstappen versus Lewis Hamilton in Mercedes. You know, top two going for the title, and it was quite a great race. Those two
Yeah,
drivers neck and neck. Tell me, what do you remember from the race?
yeah, great race last year. First of all, just that opening lap where we had them, Lewis and Max just fighting wheel to wheel, and I don't know if Max got pushed out wide, but he had to yield, and then Perez got involved as well. Perez had to yield to Verstappen. Then somewhere, I can't remember where actually, Verstappen got the lead back, and obviously those last sort of few laps where Hamilton was sort of catching Max, and then I think it was going into the last lap where there was less than a second separating them, and Max was stuck in traffic. He was behind Schumacher. But I suppose luckily for him, he got DRS off Schumacher. But then at
Yeah,
the same time, Hamilton got DRS off Verstappen. So it was this sort of DRS train up the up the start finish straight. Um, I think Max won by only just over a second in the end, about 1.3 seconds. I think not really not long at all. Um,
Hamilton was close. He was
yeah,
close.
it's probably one of their closest moments in terms of sort of margin between each other at the end of the race. I think certainly last season. Um, but yeah, I suppose other moments. I remember Giovinazzi and Alonso sort of
Yeah,
trying to get one up on each other into. Where's that corner? It's that corner after sort of the back straight, if you like. And it wasn't just those two; it was the McLarens and I think Carlos Sainz as well.
that was very
On the
interesting. I
opening
would
lap.
I would love to watch it again. I'd love to watch that again.
I remember watching it, and it was always that corner. Something was always going on at that left hander after that. It's over a mile long, I think, that straight. It's bloody massive. Um,
Yeah,
and so someone always ended up having to defend and then go wide, or vice versa. Particularly with Alonso and Giovinazzi, when I think first time round Alonso went wide, and then
He went very
he got
wide.
on the radio and saying, "Oh, Giovinazzi pushed me off," and then it was like the next lap or 2 laps later, you
It was
had
Giovinazzi.
Giovinazzi go off saying, "Oh, Fernando pushed me off." It was quite comedic thinking about it now, but besides that, it was a good race. I think one of the more, pretty much all of them were entertaining last year. But yeah, the battle between Verstappen and Hamilton. I think Verstappen eked out a 6 point lead or something in the championship after
Mm.
that, or 12 point something. It wasn't very much. Um, it was just a good race, I think.
So, I mean, when the race, or should I say after the race, start after the race goes ahead and after the race is finished, when you see what Miami have done and what Austin have done in the past, yeah, let's go in the past, yeah. What Miami have done this year and what Austin have done in the past, which of the races would you prefer to go and watch, or which one has met your expectations?
100% Kota. I don't think the Miami Grand Prix this year was that interesting. I don't really remember anything about it, to be honest, about the Miami Grand Prix this year. Um, I don't remember it being particularly interesting. I think there was an issue between Schumacher and Vettel at some point. I don't know. But I mean, if that's the main thing I can remember about it, a battle for like 14th, 15th, whatever it was. Might have been for points, actually, now that I come to think of it. Anyway. I think Kota is the better track for racing, but I've seen people say, "Oh, why does America like next year have 3 races, where one in Kota, one in Las Vegas, one in Miami?" When I can sort of understand that, being obviously one country, one Grand Prix, but at the same time, America is as big as Europe, let's face it, and Europe has about 5 or 6 Grand Prix a year. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, I prefer if there was another purpose-built circuit, someone like Watkins Glen, for example, or Sebring, rather than these street circuits that F1 is obsessed with in America. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too against America having multiple Grand Prix, to be honest. But in terms of which one I'd rather go to, definitely Kota. What about you?
I mean, I agree with you. I didn't really see much of Miami. It wasn't really that great. I mean, you had like the yachts in Miami. Those yachts on
With
the
the
and
fake
like
marina.
I just the fake marina. I'm like, you know what? We may as well have Monaco in Miami if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
But then,
I get you. What you
yeah,
mean.
I'd prefer Koza. But then this brings me to my next question because a few days ago I saw on Sky Sports F1 on uh on Twitter. It said, what would your dream F1 race be, or where would it take place? And it had all these monuments like Big Ben, except for London. Then it had Statue of Liberty for New York City. It had a, with a very significant monument for Tokyo. I don't know what's up there. They maybe having it in Tokyo. So, what would where would your dream F1 race be?
If it had to be a street circuit,
No,
given
no,
that,
just in
or just
general,
in general.
street circuit or not.
I don't really
Excuse me.
know. I'd probably take bits of tracks from around the world. So Overijs Radion from Spa, for example. Maggots and Beckett's from Silverstone. Parabolica from Monza. 130R from Suzuka. Just iconic corners and bits of track like that.
So just combine all of those together,
Yeah,
you
just
said.
combine all of them, I think, to get one sort of ultimate mega track. Um,
Wow.
There'll be like an
Wow.
F1 fan's dream of iconic circuits.
You may
I,
have to go on. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I suppose in a way that's sort of what Kota has done a little bit. Because if you think about it, the
Mhm.
first, well, sort of after the hairpin, you have the sort of S's, which is almost like the
Yeah.
like Maggots and Beckett's from Silverstone. There's another bit of track somewhere I can't remember. They've just taken sort of little bits of other tracks to make Circuit of the Americas, and to some extent, it's worked. I guess. I mean, a bit of originality wouldn't wouldn't go amiss, I suppose. But if they're good, a good corner's a good corner, I suppose. And just looking at Cody, you go up that massive hill into that first corner, that hairpin. I mean,
It looks so long.
I'd like to stand on the start finish line and then just look up at the first corner just to see how tall it is, how high you
You know
actually have to
what?
go, because it
You
seems
know
like a
what?
bloody
I
long way.
wouldn't. I know, but like, you know what? I wouldn't mind actually trying to walk from the start finish
Yeah.
line up to the hill. It'd be amazing. Like just to walk up the thing, like, wow, I'm so far away. Gosh, imagine going at what 100+ miles per hour from start finish line up into that hairpin. Blimey, it's like wow. Anyway, um, dream F1 track, F1 circuit. I mean, I'd like to combine maybe a bit of maybe New York, something about New York with a bit of Suzuka and Spa and maybe Monza as well. Maybe added um Cops Corner to it as well. But yeah, that would be quite good. What would your F1 track, F1 race, dream F1 race be, fans? Where would you like to go? Let us know in the comments below. So that was last year. What is this year going to bring us? Well, I can tell you this. After, excuse me, after 18 races, we already have a two-time back-to-back world champion in Max Verstappen. Um, Charles Leclerc, who was his closest rival in the Ferrari, well, he's going to have to settle for second place. It looks like it. Well, no, it is fact. He's going to settle for second place. But what's interesting is third place, fourth place, those remaining spots. It's going to be very interesting because Sergio Perez, George Russell, Carlos Sainz, they'll be licking their lips, don't you think? So how do you see this year's race turning out then?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't think Leclerc is nailed on for second place. I mean, he'd rather finish second than third at this point, but he got Perez in second at the moment, 1 point ahead of Leclerc. So that battle is very much still alive. And yes, the championship battle is over now, I guess. Well, there's no guessing about it. It is over. But yeah, that battle for second is going to be interesting to see. Now that the championship is won, are Red Bull going to try and not necessarily favour Perez more, but just try and make sure he sort of like finishes ahead of Leclerc where he can, if you like, and whether there's going to be some team orders to get Perez into second in the Drivers' Championship. Maybe. I don't think so, personally. I don't think Red Bull will go down that route. Um, yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they do. But yeah, as you said, that battle, top four, top five are quite close. Obviously, you got Perez and Leclerc separated by 1 point, and then battle for fourth, you got Russell on 207, Sainz on 202, and then there's a bit more of a gap between Hamilton, who isn't really fighting anyone at this stage. He's 22 points behind Sainz and 79 ahead of Lando Norris, so he's in a bit of no man's land for probably the
Yeah,
first time in his career, I suppose. Possible exception of his first year at Mercedes. Um, yeah, in terms of the race, I think it's going to favour Red Bull more. I think Verstappen has got a pretty decent record around Kota. Obviously, his first win there last year, but yeah, for Red Bull previously and Toro Rosso, I think he's had some decent outings there. I don't really see Ferrari. I don't know. I don't really see them fighting that hard against Red Bull. I don't really think that they have the car for it. And the Mercedes are bringing some aero upgrades this weekend, so whether they'll have much of an impact, whether they can sort of reel in Ferrari a little bit, yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
So, just quickly then, how do you see the race finishing? Your top five.
Um, I suppose throughout the season, we'd name this pretty much the same top five, or I think I have for most races, with the odd like a couple changes each
All right.
time.
Or how? All
um,
right. Let's make this interesting then. How about your bottom 10 finishers?
Bottom 10, blimey.
Now that is the
um,
challenge. This is going to be good.
I know this is interesting because we've got to I
So
suppose
this is
predict like
from,
retirees
yeah,
from
this is
11th down
this
to
is
20th.
from, yeah.
Um, let's go from 20th up. I reckon Mick Schumacher 20th. Sorry, Mick. Um, actually, no, Latifi 20th. What am I saying? Latifi 20th, of course. I missed one out there, big time. Schumacher 19th. There you go, Mick. One upgrade. Upgrade the one place. I reckon Stroll 18th. Sonoda 17th.
Mhm.
Who am I missing? Magnussen 16th. Albon 15th.
Ooh, over
Ricardo
Magnussen.
13th. Or 14th. Where am I up to now? 14th, I think. Ricardo. Have I said Joe? Have I said Joe Guan Yu?
No.
No. All right, he goes. Put Joe in next then. 12th, I think. Um, who else am I missing?
Hold on. Guan
Gasly
Yu,
11th.
Guan Yu Zhou. Guan Yu
Uh,
Zhou should be 13th then, if
all
Ricardo's
right.
full.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I've lost count now. Joe
no,
13th, if Ricardo's 14th.
yeah,
Who did they say next? Gasly, I think. 12th. And then
yeah.
11th, which I think is the last one. Um, who am I missing? Vettel. He can go 11th.
Oh, Sebastian Vettel not making top 10.
Oh,
Damn.
Bottas in the points for me.
Bottas, wow. Wow, Bottas in the points. In coach as well. It's not bad. Not bad. Right then. 20th. I'm sorry, but Nicholas Latifi. Yeah.
It's a given, isn't it?
It's a given. You may have got your first points, but I'm sorry, Latifi, but it has to be that. Right. 19. Hmm. You know what? This might be a bit of a controversial one. Magnussen, well, not controversial. Magnussen, and then 18th, Schumacher, 18th, Sonoda, 17th, 16th, I'll say, Guan Yu Zhou, 16th, 15th, uh, who am I missing?
You got both Aston Martins.
Yeah.
You got Gasly, Ricardo, Norris, Albon, Bottas.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay. And where am I? 15th.
15th, yeah,
15th. Okay.
I think.
I think. Wow.
Let's go from 15th.
Right. Guan Yu Zhou 15th. Guan Yu Zhou 15th. 14th. Gasly. 13th. Stroll. Oh, Aston Martin are getting a
I
big
know,
up here.
they're doing all right this weekend.
They're doing all right. 13th for Stroll. the Aston Martin. 11th, 11th will be Vettel. Yeah, 11th will be Vettel. Then 12th is going to be, if I haven't already, Gasly. I've said
I
Gasly,
don't
haven't
think
I?
so. I, I don't
No.
know.
Okay.
I don't know. Let's go.
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. Listeners
All
just
right,
like, oh, I said Gasly twice. Oh, they
Gasly.
skipped from 14th to 12th or something. uh,
All right then. So in my top 10 for Kota, I'm just going to mention names. Bottas is getting points.
both McLarens, I think. Did you mention Ricardo?
Yes, he's 14th.
Right.
Bottas is getting points.
Both Alpines
Both
are getting points.
Alpines
Yeah.
are in the points. Wow. Who finishes higher? I don't know. That would be interesting. Um, who else?
It's only really four drivers, really, because I mean the top six is pretty much a given. You got both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, both Mercedes, so you got both Alpines as well, Norris and Bottas.
yeah. Oh yeah. Very true. Yeah. Provided I haven't missed anyone out, that's essentially
Yeah, I don't.
my
We probably have
20th.
have missed, missed someone out somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I probably have. But yeah, that's basically my standings from 20th up to 11th. Right then, time is running out. But Wes, I believe you've got a quiz for us this evening. What do you have?
Yeah, got just a short quiz, only 7 questions on it, but sort of a look back at the US Grand Prix, if you like. So, obviously, several tracks have hosted the US Grand Prix, but when did the US Grand Prix first take place at the Circuit of the Americas? I've got three options for you. All of these are multiple choice. So we've got, was it in 2010, 2011, or 2012?
What was the question?
So when did the Circuit of the Americas host its first US Grand Prix? 2010, 2011, 2012.
Oh, Circuit of Americas. Mm, I want 2010 Grand Prix season in America. I'm gonna go 2012.
Correct.
2012.
Correct. It was
2012.
2012. I think they raced in Indianapolis until I think '07. Then they had a bit of a break.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, Kota was built in that time, and yeah, first race in 2012. Next question. Which driver has the most United States Grand Prix wins? Is it Sir Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, or Michael Schumacher?
Hamilton. Okay, Hamilton won it. Yeah, Hamilton won it in 17. Yes, because I've seen the videos. I've seen the videos. He won it in 17 because he threw his hat at Rosberg in the
Oh, is that where that's from?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. I think, or was it 15? Oh, I don't know. Hamilton won it in 17. Um, I believe he won it in 15 as well.
I think he won it in 15. Yeah.
So that's two. I want to say Hamilton's a four-time Grand Prix winner in Kota. Um,
But is
he
that
won
the
it in,
most wins?
oh, most wins in Kota. Right, I'm gonna say Vettel.
Incorrect. It was Hamilton. Six
Oh,
wins. Six wins in
six.
Kota. Yeah.
Wow.
Next question. How many cars started the famous slash infamous 2005 US Grand Prix at Indianapolis?
Oh, is that the
Several
one where?
teams withdrew because of
Yeah.
tyres. Essentially, they couldn't cope with the high speeds and I suppose pressures, I think, on the tyres, something like that. The tyres couldn't handle Indianapolis, basically. So, how many cars started that race and finished? All of them finished as well. I've
Ooh,
got options as well. Option one is
okay.
20. I suppose option one is 20. Option
Yeah,
two is 10, and option three is
yeah.
6.
How many cars started that race?
Yeah, all of the cars that started also finished it. So
I want to say six because by the way it went, um, some of them didn't finish, and it was quite big issue. So I'm gonna say six.
6 is correct.
Six.
Yeah,
Wow,
you
just
had
six cars.
yeah. Okay, they're the
Wow.
only teams on. I think it was Bridgestones was the other manufacturer.
Mhm.
But the other, how many teams would that have been? 3 teams, 7 teams were on Michelin tires, and yeah,
Oh,
they couldn't cope. There was a few tire issues, or quite a few like punches and tire bursts, and yeah, not a good weekend for F1. But moving on,
wow.
which constructor is the most successful at United States Grand Prix? Is it McLaren? Is it Lotus? Or is it Ferrari?
So Mercedes are not on that
This
list.
is going back throughout the whole of the US Grand Prix
F1.
since F1 began in 1950. Actually, no,
Okay.
before that, because some races were, I think they've been racing in the US since like 1908 or something.
Oh.
So yeah, this is including those way back when F1 wasn't formally a thing
Oh.
until 1950. I just got this off
Okay.
Wikipedia, so it's probably not.
Yeah.
So yeah, however many these 3 teams were, I mean, it's probably a lot less since F1 started
Um.
in the 50s.
What are the options again?
You've got McLaren, Lotus, or Ferrari.
McLaren, Lotus, Ferrari. Ferrari.
Correct, yeah. Ferrari by, I think, by quite some way as well. Just try and double check. According to Wikipedia, anyway, the US Grand Prix has been held sort of on and off since 1908, but F1 only sort of formally became a thing in 1950. Yeah, just looking at the constructors on Wikipedia, if I can find it, I think I've scrolled past it. You have, Ferrari with 10 wins, all since 1950. So from 75, 78, 79, 2000, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, and 2018, where Kimi Raikkonen
Ooh.
won it in 2018. And then you've got Lotus and McLaren joint on 8. Mercedes is 6th with pretty much everyone. You've got 2014, 15, 16, 17, and 19. I think all of which were Hamilton. I don't think Rosberg won one of those. He might have done. I can't remember. He might have won 16. Yeah, Mercedes 6th of a win. 1910 before F1 was a formal
Ooh.
actual competition. Where are we now? Question 5. How many tracks in the USA have hosted a Grand Prix since the World Championship began in 1950? I
Well,
said
we've
earlier,
got
a lot of
the
tracks have hosted this is just a Grand Prix, so not like a formal US Grand Prix. Like there have been tracks in the US
yeah.
that have hosted, like Dallas Grand Prix, for example, that have
Oh
hosted
yeah.
the race. So have there been 9 tracks, 11 tracks, or 13 tracks in one country that have hosted a Grand Prix?
In one country. 11.
Spot on,
11.
correct. 11 tracks since 19. There were a few others in the very early days, in like the 1910s or whatever. But yeah, 11 tracks since 1950 have hosted a Grand Prix in the US.
Wow.
But last question, I think. No, there's 2 more questions. How many
Okay.
of those 11 tracks have hosted an official US Grand Prix? Like a Grand Prix to actually be called the US Grand Prix, not like Dallas Grand Prix or
Yeah.
Miami Grand Prix, for example, that have actually been called the US Grand Prix. Is it 6? Is it 7? Or is it 8? With those
Great
11
follow-up
tracks.
question. Great follow-up question. That. Great follow-up question. That. Um. So of the 11, how many of them have been? Okay. 7. I wouldn't think there'd be many.
Six. Six tracks.
Six. Six.
Obviously, you got
Yeah.
Dakota now. You got Indianapolis. I'll get the list up here. Yeah, you got Dakota, Indianapolis, Phoenix, which hosted in
Phoenix.
2 different sort of layouts. I think they ran one in reverse or something. Watkins Glen had 3 different layouts.
Wow.
Riverside in California in 1960, and then Sebring in 1959, which I think is 6, if my maths is correct. It is indeed. So then, last question. F1 returns to Las Vegas next year, but where was the previous race in the city held? There have been 2 previous Grand Prix in Las Vegas. Was it held, or were they held at the same track as it was next year? Is Las Vegas returning to the same track? Or did they race in a car park? Or did they race up and down the Las Vegas Strip in a sort of up one straight, do a U-turn, down the other?
Oh. So what's the question? Sorry.
So, F1 returns to Las Vegas next year, but where was
Yeah.
the previous race in the city held? So is it on exactly the same circuit as next year, in a car park, or up and down the Las Vegas Strip?
Right. For some reason, I'm totally gonna guess the year that it happened, and it might be wrong. Um, Only because I heard it from outside somewhere. I'm gonna say it was held in, I want to say 1992, early 90s.
Bit before that, 81 and
Oh,
82, I think they were
oh,
the 2
81,
Grand Prix.
82. Wow. Okay. As for the actual question, a car park. I'm familiar with it. I think it was in a car park.
Correct, yeah. The Caesar's Palace Grand Prix held in the car park of Caesar's Palace Casino, which is just mad when you come to think of it. And I think the track was pretty boring. There weren't many people watching, I think, because
Yeah.
it's a car park. It's completely flat, and it was just sort of, most of it was pretty much straight. Well, straight's pretty much with a couple of corners, and then there was this squiggly bit at the top of the circuit or something. Yeah, it didn't really go well, and yeah, that's why it only lasted a couple of years, I suppose. But yeah, F1 has raced in Vegas before, albeit not successfully. So hopefully, F1 will be hoping that to a more successful return to Vegas. And, I suppose it'll be about around this time next year, I think, from what I remember
Yeah.
from the calendar.
No, November.
November, yeah, we're not too far off.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, who knows? It's a shame I'm not a gambling man. Otherwise, I would have put some chips into the race and see how much money I would have won. But anyway, before we sign off, we want to talk about um Daniel Ricciardo because earlier this season he announced that well, it all started with McLaren saying that they are terminating his contract. You know, they're not going to race with him from next season, and he's going to be replaced with Oscar Piastri. So that's all confirmed. So it is well, Daniel Ricciardo is not going to be on the grid for 2023, ladies and gentlemen. So what what do you when you hear the words Daniel Ricciardo, what comes to your mind? What pops out to you?
Just smiling, I think. Funny jokes, personality, character. I suppose as well as all that sort of personality stuff, off track stuff, he is one hell of a driver. He's insanely talented, and I suppose one of the few drivers since Verstappen stepped up to Red Bull to sort of properly challenge him. Can't remember how many wins Ricciardo's got. I think it's 6 there or thereabouts, maybe a few more. Yeah, most of those are when Verstappen. What he got? I think he got a couple in 2014. I think his first win was at Canada in 2014. And yeah, obviously a few wins when I suppose Mercedes was the dominant force in the sport, and then got the odd win here and there. I think Monaco 2017 or 18, I
2008.
think Was it
18,
18? I
yeah.
think. Yeah, will probably be his most iconic moment in for Red Bull, especially after what happened the year before with, I think, was it a pit stop, a slow pit stop that cost him the win, and I can't remember who won that race now. Probably Hamilton. Let's be real, Hamilton. Yeah, it would have been 2017. Yeah, probably Hamilton. And you just saw Ricardo on the podium that year, looking pretty upset and annoyed with the team that they basically cost him his win. After I think he qualified pole that year as well, and fortunately, the year after, no problems, no issues whatsoever, and I can just envision him diving into the podium, full arms out, just not a care in the world,
Yeah.
face first into the swimming pool in Monaco. um, but it's going to be hugely sad that he's not on the grid next year. I mean, first of all, for for the jokes and the personality side you get with it, but at the same time, I think he's a better driver than quite a few of the drivers currently on the grid. Yeah, a few of them, I suppose, are earlier out into their careers, people like Sonoda, Zhou, but I think he's a better driver than Gasly. He's a better driver than Stroll. He's a better driver than a lot of the drivers for the backmarker teams. But I suppose that's not where Daniel really wants to be. I mean, if given his ideal team, he'd probably probably drive for Ferrari. But obviously, that's not going to happen for
Wants to be closer to the
ages.
grid,
Yeah, just closer to
closer
that,
to the front of the grid.
closer to those top teams again, and yeah, whether he'll look back at that move to Renault to leave Red Bull as a mistake, possibly. But I suppose he saw there was no real progression with Red Bull because he was in one of the top teams and he wasn't going to get a drive with Mercedes, he wasn't going to get a drive with Ferrari, and he was always destined to be Red Bull's number two, if you like. Well, I suppose he beat Verstappen to the seat, but when Verstappen won his first race in 2016 for Red Bull, I think that was pretty much it. All with the eggs going in Verstappen's basket. Yeah, obviously got a couple of podiums with Renault and has struggled with McLaren since, and it's sad, but yeah, I can certainly see why McLaren opted not to keep him on for next year, because his performances just haven't been up to the standard, or the same standard as Lando Norris, who's seventh in the Drivers' Championship, way ahead Ricardo, way ahead of Ricardo. Yeah, whether he'll be back in 2024, I hope so. I hope someone somewhere will give him a drive on that grid, give him a seat. I'm not entirely sure where. I don't see where he can go or what sort of links he has to teams like Alfa Romeo, Williams, Haas, even perhaps Alpine. Who knows? Yeah, I'd like to see him back on the grid in 2024 at least. I mean, that's the earliest is going to be on the grid, because although we've technically got two vacant seats that haven't been announced yet for 2023, I'm fairly certain they're already signed, sealed, and just waiting to be announced from Haas to Williams. I'm fairly sure Schumacher will stay in that Haas seat. It's just a case of who goes to Williams now. Because now that De Vries has just jumped ship with Mercedes teams and gone to AlphaTauri, so maybe that's a bit of a last chance saloon for Ricciardo for 2023. But I'm sure Williams have got their own ideas and plans. But yeah, it's going to be hugely sad, and yeah, he'll be missed on the grid for at least a year. I mean, hopefully not more than a year.
Yeah. Excuse me. I mean, Daniel Ricciardo, like you said, he's just a man of character. Someone you can just, have a fun conversation with. You know, uh, just very entertaining. Like, he's a man that could make you laugh. I mean, on the track, he's arguably one of the best racers in F1. Like, I don't know, you could he's won a few races. I think eight eight races, including sorry, Monaco, like you said, Monza, a couple years back. Um, yeah, it's just sad that he's had to part ways with McLaren. Of course, get it's not easy to gel into a new team, you know. Um, it it works out for some, not for others. I mean, for example, someone that has worked out for Carlos Sainz, just an example. Um, I think he started out with. Did he start out with McLaren or
He
Renault?
started
One
out
of
with
the
Toro
two.
Rosso. Red Bull Junior
Toro
driver.
Rosso, wow.
Then yeah,
Wow.
saw no progression once Verstappen got the call up to Red Bull, and he had a season at Renault, or sort of half a season. I think it was quite weird. Um, and then yeah, went to McLaren and did pretty well, and obviously now for Ferrari.
Yeah, so like it's worked out for Sainz, and I'm sure I'm sure Ricciardo is not the only driver who's had his ups and downs, but I think you know just to taking that break, like he said, to clear his head, just gather your thoughts and whatnot, come back in 2024. I think that's a good move for him, and who knows, 2024 might open some doors for him. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe Mercedes may have a seat open, Ferrari or Alpine, or anything can happen. But it would be what would be interesting to see if he if Ricardo was open to other motorsport disciplines. It would be great to see which one he goes to. You know, maybe NASCAR, Formula E. You know, stuff like that.
I reckon he'd fit into Extreme E. I feel like he's got no, it's completely different disciplines, Extreme E and Formula One. But I just feel like he'd enjoy it. But yeah, NASCAR, IndyCar, whatever it is, I mean, we've had people like Kimi Raikkonen and I think Hakkinen did some rallying as well, and Robert Kubica gone off to do some. I don't see Ricardo as a rallying sort of person, but
Nah,
yeah, whether he sort of does a year in IndyCar or something. I've seen a few F1 drivers go to IndyCar. Marcus Ericsson, Will Stevens. There's another Mana Marusha driver as well. I can't remember his name now. Takuma Sato, another one F1 driver now racing in IndyCar. Um, yeah, who knows? But yeah, I just hope we get to see him in F1 again because he's got so much talent. And if F1 seats were decided on merit on talent, then he'd certainly be in that grid of 20.
so that brings us to the end of another episode of F1 Stop Show. Um, the US Grand Prix is this weekend, and it's going to be very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Who gets who gets up and over to the first into turn one? Who's it going to be? Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, or could we have a Mercedes driver on pole? I mean, the question still remains: are Mercedes going to get their first win of the season? It looks very unlikely. I think it looks very unlikely. But who knows? This is Formula One. Uh, Something might happen. Anyway, um, do not forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and you can also email us at f1stopshow@gmail.com. I've been your host, Sam Ernie, and it's a goodbye from me. Bye bye. And it's a goodbye from Wes.
Bye bye.
And we hope you enjoy the United States Grand Prix this weekend.